I remember playing games with my grandmother when I was about 7 to 8 years old. We played. My grandmother lived in Germany, and I would visit her every summer. We played lots of games like there's a German game called Mensch ärger dich nicht, which is German for "Don't get so upset." I played a lot of games like that. I played Stratego when I was little, and Stratego was probably the big one. That was the one that influenced me the most because that was the first game that I played. So I modified Stratego to put in robots and dinosaurs and airplanes and stuff, and I modified the Mensch ärger dich nicht to end and uh, to end and dinosaurs and robots. I made a trading card game actually when I was 22. That was my first attempt at a professional game. I designed role playing games for years before that, but nothing professional caliber. I made a trading card game. I think I called it Ascension. It was based off of, it had poker mechanics meets Magic the Gathering, and it was pretty terrible, but I learned a lot. There's a point I have to feel it entirely by gut that there's a point where I'm like the next change I make to the game, the next few changes I make don't really make it better. They just make it different. That's usually when I'm ready to let it go, or at least to let it breathe for a while. But I've never published a game in my life where I've said this game is perfect. In terms of how much freedom I get creatively, I think I get less creative freedom because I ask for it. I think the longer I do it, the more I dislike the blank page. I maybe once or twice a year I'll make a game just out of gossamer, but usually I'll go to a publisher that I work well with, and I'll say like, what are you interested in? What kind of let's work together and think of something for the marketplace. Or if worst case scenario, I'll ask for some restrictions, right? Make a game that has no victory conditions, right? Something silly like that. That's a good starting point. Who do I design for? I on some level I design for myself, but because I do it professionally and commercially, I'm very aware that there's an audience out there, I spend a lot of time thinking about that audience. So as part of my process, I will usually think about who this game is for, and then look inward, see what my connection is with that particular audience. What do we have in common? What kind of things do we like? Co-design is awesome. I mean, I love it. It is well, the thing I love about it is that it's completely every partnership I have about three co-designers I work with regularly. They're all completely different. Uh, we have each of us has a role that we organically grow into in the design. So I work differently with Mike Elliott on Dice Masters, for example, than I work with Bruno Faiduti on our little games, or with Antoine Boza on the bigger games. The It's not efficient, right? You don't do co-design to make games faster. It actually takes longer because there's some compromise involved, especially when I tend to work with very, very prolific designers who I consider better than me. So like that, so we're always challenging each other. Doing two big box games for Guillotine Games, the same publisher do Zombicide. I have a big Viking board game, that Viking strategy board game with that's sort of in the same vein as games like Chaos in the Old World or Cyclades or Kemet, called Blood Rage. I've been working on that game. I've been wanting to make that game for many years. Very excited about it. I have a big horror game, huge big box horror game called The Others, with that's 2 to 5 players. One player playing as the Seven Sins versus other players playing werewolves and vampires, defending their city against them. That game is huge. I just wrapped that up. That's coming out in 2015. I used to say, understand your motivation very clearly. Are you in this to entertain your friends? Are you in this to make a statement? Or are you in this to make a lot of money? All three are viable. Just make sure that you understand your motivation, and you'll be a lot happier with your choices because they'll align better to your goals. There's no time like the present to get involved. Your competition is going to be very, very, very stiff. So if I had to say one thing is find the one thing that makes you stand out, right? Don't you have your own voice. Don't follow everybody else who's succeeded in this industry. They have a path that's kind of closed behind them. What makes you unique is what's going to launch you into the industry.